I recognize that many of you are parenting your grandkids where their circumstances are less than optimal. How's that for being polite? Where your grandkids may be with you um, through tragedy, through heartache, through death, where the child's biological parents just may not be able to care for the kids in a safe way. And so your circumstances are different than mine. And I want to offer you today some information, hopefully, that will help you in terms of maybe understanding some of the issues that your grandkids may not necessarily, but may have come to you with, and how to manage that. Okay, I'm still letting people in from the waiting room as they join us, so I apologize for that. You know, talking with Betty, we said, what are we going to call this presentation? And she reminded me of a previous presentation I did for her where I talk about a hole in the tummy. This great big gaping hole in the tummy, but we've renamed this presentation, not hole in the tummy, but hole in the soul. So we're going to come to understand that for some of these kids and where it comes from. And to that end, I need to explain some complex psychological theory. And let's just mute that person there. I think we're good. The theory I'm going to talk about is called attachment theory. There's a lot of misunderstanding about that. I'm not going to give a university lecture here. I'm going to give a rock solid basic understanding, though, and why attachment theory is important to understanding kids. And look, as I talk about this stuff, you may be thinking of yourself. You may be applying this theory to yourself, and you may see that it does apply. And it may unlock some thoughts. It may bring back some memories. Some may not be pleasant for yourself. But where I'm going with this is to help the kids and to help you in helping the kids. So let me talk about attachment theory. My goodness, people are still joining in. Okay. The child is born. This is sign language for birth. It's very graphic. The child is born, and the child goes, wah. It's the caregiver, the parent's job, to figure out why the signal of distress, why the wah. And if you look at parents of newborns and infants, when the child goes wah, one of the first things they do, I call it the sniff test. They literally turn the child upside down and they sniff the bum. Is the child going wah because it's a poopy diaper? It's one of the fastest things you can check to figure out the source of the child's distress. But let's say it's not a poopy diaper. Well, the next quickest thing most parents do, they feed the child. And I'm going to tell you, I don't care if you breastfeed or if a parent breastfeed. Grandparents are not going to do that. Or bottle fed. I just care that kids are fed. So if kids are fed, that's a good thing. So, but this is the next thing that a parent can do to figure out why is a child going wah. And so you try and feed the child breast or bottle, whatever, and the child still is in distress and signaling the distress through the wah, wah. So the next thing the parent does, they pick up the child and they go, oh, coochie, coochie, coo, coochie. Oh. And the child eases, the child relaxes. The child needed to be stimulated. Believe it or not, infants do get bored. any distress in an infant comes out as wah. They don't have a large range of signals. So it's up to the parent to figure it out. As the parent struggles to figure it out, but they're engaged with the child. This is an experience for the child. That parent's engagement, figuring out the why. That child's experience is, I'm of value. I'm of worth. I'm of importance. I matter. Otherwise, why would somebody invest in seeking to soothe me and make me feel better? The other thing that goes on for that child is, oh my goodness, you are the source of my safety. You are the source of my security. I feel good in your company. Safe, secure. All right. It's a good beginning for a child. Now, let's imagine that child here in my office as a 2-year-old. We're growing this child up. And 2-year-olds, if a 2-year-old has to sit in my office on the floor, they're going to be in distress because they're bored. So most 2-year-olds are going to look up at the parent and say, hey, I see there's an open door there. Can I toddle out? And they're going to look at me for my signal. What is it, little one? And they look at me and they look out the door, and I'm reading their mind and say, you want to go out and explore? And I happen to know it's safe in that hall, and it leads to our basement. It is our basement. And I happen to know that it's safe. So I say to the child, yeah, okay, away you go. Go ahead, go explore. And the 2-year-old is so excited. And they go out the door. They get out of our eyesight. And to the 2-year-old, and if this is a kind of a new environment, a new space, they may get a little anxious. Oh my goodness, I can no longer see parent or Gary. And so they come toddling back in as if to say, am I still here? I go, it's okay, sweetie. Yeah, Gary's still here. You're good. Away you go. And off the toddler goes. And maybe a little further. And then doubles back to check it. And back and forth. And again, the experience of this child, again, is that they're safe, they're secure, they're looked after. When they were in distress, their needs to explore were met. And this is a good child. Let's grow that child up. This is now a 5-year-old in the schoolyard. And the 5-year-old in the schoolyard is playing around. I'm just going to have a sip of tea. They're in the schoolyard and they trip. And this child skins their knee. Well, let's say it's me. Little 5-year-old Gary. I'm in the schoolyard. I trip. I skin my knee. I go, wow, 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 wow. And because I grew up in the company of a parent who was always responsive to me, made me feel safe, made me feel secure. Now I'm that 5-year-old in the schoolyard and I'm looking around. I don't see the parent. I don't see my parent there, but I do see another adult. And that's kind of like a parent. They're older than me. They're bigger than me. They have more power than me. They talk like a grown-up. I'm going to go visit that person. Maybe it's a teacher. Maybe it's a supervisor. Maybe it's an educational assistant. Whoever that adult is. And I go, look, I scraped my knee. I scraped my knee. I'm in distress. And that person said, it's okay, Gary. We'll put a Dora the Explorer Band-Aid or a SquarePants SpongeBob, however that goes, Band-Aid on it. And this is good. This is good. I'm growing up experiencing that other people are safe, secure, can meet my needs. I'm good with them. They're good with me. Now I'm a young adult. I don't know, maybe I'm 18, maybe I'm 20, maybe I'm 22, maybe I'm 24, and I'm in a cohabiting, intimate relationship. So I have a partner. I don't care if it's same sex. I don't care if it's heterosexual, I don't care. This isn't a gender issue. My, it's the dinner time. I'm expecting my partner, and my partner is a half hour late. That's a long time. Now, I'm 66. Let's pretend this is before smartphones. Let's pretend this is before cell phones, just for the purpose of this presentation. My partner comes in half hour late, and I'm beside myself. Partner, you're a half hour late. Are you okay? I mean, today we just go beep, 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 and we let the person know. But I don't know. Partner, you're a half hour late. Are you okay? I'm just letting someone else in. And that traffic on the whatever expressway. I think we have people listening in today from pretty much across Canada, and just to acknowledge, I do appreciate you're not all grandparents. Some of you are kin. It could be a sister, a brother, an aunt, and uncle. So I do want to acknowledge that. Anyways, partner comes up, you're late, are you okay? And the traffic on that highway. Here in Toronto, maybe we'd say the QEW or the 401. It was horrendous. There was a crash and it took so long to get through. And partner, let me get you a cup of tea. Let me get you. And you know what? This is all good. I'm describing to you optimum. That infant born and having the experience of a parent that is available, that puts the needs of the child ahead of their own, that is responsive to the wow, that makes the child feel safe and secure. We say that that child is attached to that parent. Where attachment doesn't mean, oh, they're my friend. It means you are my place of safety. It's a safety attachment, not a friend attachment. Think of a couple of 8-year-olds playing basketball in the court at school, and that 8-year-old, with his best buddy playing basketball, best buddy. And that child rolls over on his ankle and sprains his ankle there in the schoolyard. This child, he's bonded to his friend because it's my best friend. We have fun together. But this child seeks to get home to be made and safe, taken care of, made to feel secure by that parent, because it's the parent that they're attached to, that friend they may be bonded to. There's a difference. Okay, so we say that this child has a secure attachment. They are secure in themselves with other persons, the result of these growing up experiences. Let's change it. Child is born, child goes, wow. We now have a parent who's unresponsive. Nothing. What does the child do? They signal harder. Wah, wah. Nothing. Wah, 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 wah. Nothing. Where's the parent? Where's the child? What's the child's experience of this? Do I not have worth if, when I'm in distress and I signal, there's no response to soothe me, to take care of me? Now it's a 2-year-old here on the floor beside me, and I'm an unresponsive parent, and the child is bored, normal, because it's boring sitting on the floor beside me, and they want to go explore out there. They don't even think to go out there. The child doesn't even think to look at me to seek my permission, because I'm not responsive. The child sits there on the floor. Maybe they play with their lips or their ears or fiddle with their whatever. That's it. Now that child is 5 in the playground and falls and skins their knee. Rather than scanning the environment, saying, what looks like a parent what looks like another adult, who can make me feel safe, secure, and take care of me? I don't know, so I'm just going to sit here on the ground and cry with my scraped knee. And then if I'm lucky, another adult, a parent, not a parent, but you know, somebody in the school environment comes around and says, Gary, why are you sitting here crying? And I'm amazed. I'm amazed that somebody comes to me.
No, I don't understand.
I hear talking. I'm going to mute. Sorry. I'm amazed that somebody comes and talks to me, and I scrape my knee, and they said, Gary, you've got a scraped knee. Like they're incredulous that I didn't come to them even. And maybe they give me a Dora the Explorer Band-Aid again. And I'm like, wow, didn't see that coming. It's not part of my experience that people come to me when I'm in distress. Now I'm a young adult, and my partner comes home a half hour late like before, and they come through the door. I don't go running. I continue doing what I'm doing. My partner comes in and goes, Gary, where are you? I said, oh, I'm here. Aren't you curious why I'm late? Oh, yeah. Okay, you're late. Okay. And then my partner says, don't you care? And I have to think about that. I'm not used to people coming to me in distress. Why would I go to them? I'm just doing my thing. Now imagine you're my intimate partner, and that is the response you get from me, and you're expecting, what, don't you love me? What am I? Jewish, we would say, what am I, chopped liver? This can bring conflict. This can bring issues. What a word, issues, to this relationship. Not because my partner has done anything wrong, but because I don't know how to be responsive. I don't expect it from others. Oops. Sorry. Blah, 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 blah. I don't expect it from others, and I don't know to give that to others. So this kind of attachment, where we have a non-responsive parent, we refer to as an insecure attachment. I'm sorry, I didn't, I heard somebody, but hopefully we're all muted. Okay. We call it insecure attachment. So the lack of responsivity by a parent in early infancy, carried out over the course of this child's life, creates an adult who may not be as engaged because they're not used to being engaged with, particularly when in need. Wow. Let's change it up. Here we go. More attachment theory. Child is born, and sip of tea. Child goes wah, and you know what? Sometimes the parent is responsive. Oh, Gary, why are you going wah? And you know, the sniff test, turn me over, figure out if I've got a poopy diaper. Nope. Figure out if I'm hungry. Nope. Coochie, coochie, kumi. Ah, you know, and I relax and soothe. But at other times when I go wah, that same parent, where are they? Not responding. I go wah, wah, wah. Where are they? Well, that's confusing. Sometimes you're there, sometimes you're not. I go wah, I get taken care of. I go wah, 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 wah. Sometimes I don't. So maybe I go wah, 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 wah. And on some occasions, and this may be triggering to some, so I want to warn you. I'm not out to scare you. But on some of these occasions, the parent comes and goes, I'll show you when to cry. The child is actually hurt, punished for disturbing, upsetting that parent. that parent then becomes the source of the child's distress. Confusing. Sometimes responsive, sometimes unresponsive, sometimes the source of that child's distress. What the heck does the child do? Who are you, and which version of you will I get? Do I have worth? Do I not have worth? Am I something that is of so little worth I can be hurt? Now it's a 2-year-old. This is a 2-year-old. Already at this age, this 2-year-old has learned to scan the environment. They have their antennae. They have their spidey sense. And the 2-year-old is going to look up at me. Which version of Gary is sitting here? I'm bored, the 2-year-old. I'd like to go explore. But before I dare even broach it, will I feel safe? Will I feel dismissed? Will I be hurt? That's a lot of variation. Let's see if I can get a bead on Gary's mood today. And let's say I'm good at covering my mood. You don't know. That is a child who's now not going to know what to do. That is a child who will sit there with some degree of anxiety. That is a child that if there's paper in front of them, they don't know what to do with this is a child that can pull their diaper off, run around in circles, and all they're doing really is dispelling their anxiety, their nervous energy in the context where they don't know what to expect, and it creates such a tension. Now let's make this a 5-year-old. This is a 5-year-old who, like the other stories, scraped their knee. They scan the environment. Yeah, there's other adults. Are they safe? Will they be responsive? Are they going to ignore me? Well, that one's talking to that one. If I interrupt, that could spell disaster. So I'm going to plant myself and seat myself in the middle of the playground. And the first child that comes by, because I don't know what to do with this tension, I bop. It's a release of tension. And now I'm labeled a bully. I'm violent. I'm distressed is what I am, and I don't know what to do about it. I don't have the skills. I don't have the internal security. I cannot trust that who I may go to won't make matters worse. I cannot trust. I'm forever scanning. Now I'm a young adult, and my partner comes home that half hour late. Somebody else is going to get that phone, so I apologize for it ringing while we're doing this. Yeah, okay. Okay, sorry for this. So, my partner comes home late. Oh my gosh. I should have taken the thing off the phone. Give me a moment. I just so apologize. I think it's over. Okay. My partner comes home late, and I'm not too trusting. I'm not secure. I'm not even insecure. I'm kind of anxious. And I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to think about it. And if my partner comes home late, it causes me some distress. You're now doing this to me by virtue of your being late. So when you walk through that door, rather than, oh, you're late, are you okay? I'm now thinking of you, why are you doing this to me? You've created this tension inside of me. So partner comes home, and now I go to the door like this. Ah, you're late. The partner's like, yeah. Well, I see. You're late. And the partner's like, what? What is going on with you? Should there be something going on with me? Why are you twisting my words? Oh, I'm twisting your words. Look, I'm not the one late. It was the traffic on the QEW, Queen Elizabeth Way, for those who are not in Toronto. Okay. My God, you look like you don't trust me. Hey, I never said anything. Look at the implications of this upbringing for this child at different stages of this child's life, and how it folds into their other relationships. There's a name for this kind of attachment style as well. So we talked about secure, we talked about insecure. This is called disorganized. It's just disorganized. It's all over the place. So this attachment theory is really important in terms of understanding human behavior, regardless of the age of that human. A child comes to you as a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, a teenager. They are bringing with them their attachment style, their experience of how they've been responded to when in distress previously, and whether or not they were made to feel safe, secure, or insecure, or anxious, disorganized. So that 2-year-old, some may be really easy to soothe. Look, and this is different than their temperament or their personality, because they're coming with that too. Some kids are just, I'm happy. Some kids are, I'm moody. Some kids are not neurotypical in a sense. They're wired differently and not comfortable with touch, closeness, the sensory feelings of that. So they have that going on too. But there's also these attachment styles. So the 2-year-old whose parent may not have been available in that sense to be made to feel secure. And look, there's many things that can create those conditions where a parent isn't available. They could be subject to abuse in their home by a partner. And if you're worried about being hit, it's hard to be responsive to the child. They may have depression themselves. When you're depressed, it's hard to be responsive. It could be drugs or alcohol. If you're intoxicated, if you're needing that drugs or alcohol, and that's where your attention goes, you're not responsive. If other misfortune, you're of poor health, you're not like, this isn't about being good people or bad people. These are the conditions. These things are structural. These are the issues that some parents are immersed in, sometimes no fault of their own. So I also see this happening, the insecure attachment with a parent who may be ill and therefore less able to be responsive, or maybe their partner is ill and they have to be more of a caregiver to the immediate needs of an ill partner, or maybe they're over responsive to the needs of some other people. Maybe it's their own parents or persons in the community or whatever. So this 2-year-old comes to you and they're already going to have an attachment style set. It happens fast. It happens young. This is all preschool stuff. This is infancy, toddlerhood, preschool stuff. And by the time that kid is 3, 4, this attachment style winds up being remarkably stable, fixed. It becomes, from a psychological perspective, who they are. It's how they've been wired, their neural network. I used to do a lot of workshops in California, of all places, and the title of the workshop was The Surprise Package in Foster Care. You know, foster parents have kids coming to them who they have no relationship with and do not know, and they have to deal on the fly with these different attachment styles. So that child who walks through the door, how are they going to connect? How do you connect with a child who doesn't feel secure? Where you are that source of insecurity, and now they project it, well, you're just another adult, so you're probably like the other adult, and therefore this is how I respond to all adults. Or worse, you know, my experience of adults is that they're dangerous to me. They're hurtful. Do you really think I'm going to come in and say, oh, thanks, isn't this great? You get to take care of me, and I'm going to be really appreciative. No, I'm going to come in with such suspicion, such distrust, such fear, because I'm coming in wondering, when will you hurt me? Not if, when, and under what conditions. So many of you providing substitute care for kin. This is why it's important to appreciate and have knowledge about the experience of that child prior to your care for them. We've called this a hole in the soul. There is a hole in these kids, and for many it's insatiable. Every kid, every person, you and me, at the end of the day, we're human. And being human, we all want to be valued, and we all want to be safe. Typically, being human, there are some that are atypical, but typically, being human, we also want a social connection that is mutual, that is safe, that is satisfying. But when we are wired such that in the pursuit of that, we expect something very negative in return, imagine how torn that child is. If we parent, take care of that child from a place of power and control. You're the child, I'm the adult, you're going to do as I tell you. That can drive up anxieties. Am I safe? Am I not safe? Am I going to get punished? If so, how so? So a punishment paradigm in terms of managing this child's behavior often backfires. And so we see caregivers, I'm going to put you to your room, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take away that thing and this thing. It fits within their framework that says you're dangerous. Or you're not there for me. Like you really have to let this percolate. I like this word, percolate. You really have to let this percolate. And so if not a power and control or a punishment paradigm for managing kids, then what? Oops, sorry. I bashed my own self here. It's a care paradigm. It's a connection paradigm. It's an attachment paradigm. So maybe the kid does misbehave. Instead of, I'm going to have you go to your room. Just that tone of voice could spell disaster for this kid, because the last time they heard that tone of voice, somebody got hurt. So kid misbehaves. So instead of, if you do that, you go, sweetheart, come here. And the child is going to be terrified coming there. Come here. And the child comes. And you go, come here, sit in my lap. What were you doing? What were you thinking? Oh, sweetheart, we don't do that here. And you stroke the child's head. You know, sweetheart, we don't do that here. No, 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 no. We love you. You're better than that. You don't need to do that. If you want X, Y, and Z, ask. Or take turns. Or share. What a wonderful experience for this child in terms of that response. I got news for you. It's wonderful. It'll also be, I like this word, discombobulating, confusing. Because that child kind of won't know what to do with this. It may not be their experience. It's not their go-to. It's not their used to. They're more used to, yeah, I'm going to punish you. And I know how to deal with that. I'll escalate. I'll run away. I'll fight back. And so their usual repertoire of responses they don't know what to do with that. And so I'm just letting someone else in. So on that basis, we have to have the patience of Job. That the child has to internalize. They have to percolate. What the heck just happened? I misbehaved. I was called hither. I was treated respectfully. We did a little discussion and problem solving. I was cared for. Is that real? Like, is it even real? What the heck was that? And maybe it can't be real. And I toddle off or walk off and I engage in just the very same behavior. And maybe that behavior is a bit of a test. Now what are you going to do? Because I know there's a monster inside of everyone. It's just a matter of the provocation. That's that child's learning. If we lose it on that child, we have finally taught the child that they are right. There is a monster inside of everyone, and everyone should be feared. So the child misbehaves again. Come here. Come here. Come here. Sit on my knee. Don't know what you're up to or why, but you gotta know I love you. And I guess it's hard to understand how we do things here. So just sit back with me. What do you think we could do differently? Go. Look, this doesn't mean that if the child continues, you can say, you know what? Come. Just sit here with me. Chillax a bit. I'm not going to call this a timeout. I'm going to call it a time in. You're with me. You're with me. Chillax, sweetheart. And I'm going to stroke, chillax. Are you ready? You ready to go back? I want you to. I just want you to figure it out. What are you going to do differently when you go back? I can do this with my 2.5-year-old granddaughter. And she'll look, I'm called Zadie, or Zeta, which is Jewish for grandparent. Play nicely, Zeta. I said, oh, that would be a good choice, sweetheart. Whoa. never raised a voice. But I can keep having them come back to me every single time and can still stroke their heads. And, you know, with this, I'm interrupting the inappropriate behavior. So it's not that they're getting away with it. They're not gaining from it. I am interrupting it. But their experience of me is I'm coming from a place of loving and caring. Always. Always. I'm concerning myself with their experience of me as an adult in their lives. I'm thinking about my imprint upon them. I want them, when they grow up, if there was someone who's harsh, I want them to look at that and say, I don't get it. We don't do harsh where I grew up. We do care. We're caring. We're absolutely responsive. No one got away with anything, because if I tried something inappropriate, my Zeta or my parents, they were there. They intervened, but no one ever got hurt. And my needs were always met. And so when this child grows up and they're met with inappropriate behavior, harshness, abuse, I want them, this doesn't fit for me. So this hole in the soul that some of the kids will come to you with, predetermined, we need to shrink it. We need them to feel their worth again, or finally. We need to do that over time. Some people would say that that hole in the soul, the hole in the tummy, it never heals fully. It never goes away. I don't know. I don't know. So at the very least, what we can do is give that child alternate experiences. That may have been your early experiences, sweetheart. But now your experiences are so different. So when you are in a relationship, as you are connecting with other people on a go-forward basis, think twice. Who do you have in front of you? Because now you have an array of experiences and choices by which to understand the behavior of the other. And I would only want you to choose to be with the one who's reasonable, who makes you feel safe and secure, speaks well to you, of you. There's reciprocity in the relationship, give and take. So your role as kin care providers, apart from the safety and security of a roof over the head, food in the belly, clothes on the back, many of you are working against the disrepair of attachment, offering a different experience so a child at least gets to grow up and feel, oh yeah, I had this and then I had that, I like that better. That's your role. Interestingly enough, that's how I see your role. You know, apart from, yeah, you know, food, shelter, clothing, roof overhead, it's to manage their soul. And you can only manage their soul through your compassion, kindness, while still having limits, boundaries, and expectations. It's not about whether you have limits, boundaries, and expectations, but how we deliver them. They know what harsh is about. You can be firm yet gentle. My grandkids, our son growing up, oh my goodness, there were limits, boundaries, and expectations. Couldn't get away with a thing. But no one ever got hurt. No one ever got demeaned, put down, scared, talked bad to. This is restorative for the child who comes to live with you from an environment that didn't provide for that. So think of yourselves on a go-forward basis, not as the guardian of the child, but the guardian of their soul. It goes so deep what you are all doing in providing care for kin. It goes so deep. I don't know that it's talked about in the way that I'm talking about, or talked about often enough. The value of this role. Very often we get caught up with the surface behavior, the academic issues, the learning disabilities, the ADHD, the alphabet soup of disastrous diagnoses. Through all of that, if you concentrate on managing their soul through your kindness, through your compassion, through a non-punitive but a caring approach, so many of those other issues will be addressed, because so many of those other issues are this issue undiagnosed. The child who's forever scanning the environment or can't sit still, diagnosed now with ADHD, that is a child who's learned not to sit still because they don't know from which direction the book is going to hit them. And now they're just wired to always be on the move. You can't get a moving target. And yet it's an attachment issue. I'm not saying that you can't have ADHD in and of itself without an attachment issue. Of course you can. I'm just saying be mindful of this too, because this may be the primary issue and the others can be a symptom of this. In other occasions, those are the issues. So it helps to have an understanding of why the child has come to you and what their experiences are. And sometimes, quite frankly, you can guess at the experiences by the behavior of the child. You know what they got away with when you hear them fighting and arguing with you. I had a 6-year-old that said, she didn't have to apologize to me for some untoward behavior because she was a guest in my house. Oh, I guess that worked for you in other people's houses. It doesn't work for you in our house, sweetheart. You still have to apologize. And we can't go on to play until you have. And I'm very patient. And we can wait, sweetheart. The kid starts crying because they're not getting away with murder. I said, it's okay. You can cry too. You're frustrated. I get it. That's not necessarily about you. You're frustrated because all your crap isn't working. But nor am I getting abusive. Nor am I losing it. Nor am I shouting at you. I'm just being patient and waiting. Okay. Fine, Uncle Gary. I'll apologize. Okay, sweetheart. Good. Now let's continue. We're almost out of time. I am hoping this has been helpful to you. I don't know. Gave you some things to think about today. Attachment theory. Hole in the soul. And we're there to soothe. We're there to soothe. It is so important because that is what's going to equip this child to manage in every other relationship they find themselves in. It could be workplace. It could be friendships. It could be with other kin. It could be with their intimate partner. It can be with their own children, because you are now setting a different standard for how to parent. So what is the downline from this? You're welcome to leave some comments in the chat room. I'm hoping this presentation was of value to you. I am grateful to Betty for catching up with me and inviting me to do this. I started this presentation by saying, how could I say no to her? And of course, Of course you don't say no to Betty. You just step up. Appreciate the comments that I see coming in. Yes, you're studying trauma. This relates to the impact of trauma. You know, when we talk about childhood abuse, it's bad for what happens in the moment. What people don't often appreciate is that abuse and trauma has very long legs. It carries itself into later life, into adulthood. And so many of you may be dealing with that. Many of the children for whom you care for may be dealing with that. And look, throughout this presentation, I'm talking like raising some of these kids is easy. It is not. When a child has a serious attachment disorder, oh my God, they are hell to manage. And it becomes all the more important to manage yourself first, lest you inadvertently prove them right that all people are monsters. So, you know, maybe that's the takeaway. Manage yourself first and be mindful of this kid's experience and the experience you are currently providing, no matter what they do. I'm Gary Derenfeld. I'm a social worker. You can follow me on Facebook. Let me see here.
Gary, can I jump in for a minute?
Yes.
And just say thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for giving of your time in this talk and reminding me of some of these trauma things. JJ is all of the above. He has the disorientated attachment, or
Disorganized
attachment. Yes, that's what he's been diagnosed with. And I'm his 8th home. So like, no wonder. But just a reminder for me to bring him in closer for connection. I do try to look at him and say trauma and show grace. I try that every day, but sometimes I'm not successful, and I know that. And so I just really appreciate the reminder. And this has been triggering. I was the child given away and left in a hospital for 6 weeks. So I'm sure I did a lot of wowing and not getting what my needs met until I got to my grandma's house 6 weeks later, and then, you know, passed around. And I do believe that, you know, through love and therapy, there can be lots of healing. But I know in myself that hole is still bubbling sometimes. And I see that in my granddaughter. And I just really appreciate you coming on and doing this for us. Thank you.
My absolute pleasure. And I wish all of you well. I am going to post this video to YouTube, as I spoke about at the beginning, and also to my Facebook and maybe even LinkedIn at some point. So you'll be able to find it. You'll be able to share it easily with others who weren't able to join us today. And that's it. I'm gonna end the presentation, and thank you all for joining us. Bye, folks.